On this computer. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, guitar fanatics, I'm here with a special guest, Vinnie Moore, one of the, for me, the greatest, huge influence for everyone. And for the new generations, the Instagrammers, YouTubers, whatever, you're 15, 12 years old and you never check Vinnie, you need to go because he's an institution for me and for everyone else. So how are you, Vinnie?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for the kind words, man. I really appreciate it.
How's the reality, man? It's just it is what it is. We were talking before about your background. It looks sick for me. It looks great, man. I see the Marshalls right there and some guitar in the background.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is actually. I can't see behind me, but yeah, the Marshall, as you notice, it's on. I'm down here recording in my studio, so was just laying down some rhythm tracks.
Where are you located right now?
I'm on the East Coast in America in a small state called Delaware, which I always tell everyone is near Philadelphia because
Yep.
usually no one has heard of Delaware. So, yeah,
Okay,
near Philadelphia.
near Philadelphia, Delaware. Yeah, I live in Orlando, in Florida, Orlando area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah. I was just down there about a month ago. Not Orlando, but what was it called? Pensacola.
oh, Pensacola, Florida. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, nice. So what are you doing right now? You said that you were recording tracks. What is like your current project right now?
Yeah, I just been writing and recording demos. Have a lot of new songs, and I probably don't want to say a whole lot about it now. It's not quite yet the time to make an announcement, but yeah, there's something getting real close to being ready to go. So I see a new record, I guess, in 2026.
Well, sounds that I want to know. But that sound that is like a really cool project because you cannot say anything.
Right. Well, I hope every project I do is cool, but yeah, so it should be good, man. I'm really excited about things, and I've been working on it hard for quite a while, and I'm inching closer.
Nice. You have been with that studio for a while, right? Because I mean, I used to. So let me just give you a little bit of background. I'm a guitar player. I'm from South America, but I moved to the States 20 years ago. Back then, we didn't have YouTube and all this and internet. Um, Back then, I saw your video on a VHS.
Hmm.
It was mind blowing. And then you start to read. I remember that was Alta Vista, was like the Google back then. And it says that you were in Delaware and that you have a studio and that you produce and you record and all that. So I guess this is the same studio that you have your entire life. We're talking about like, I don't know, 20 years that I read that or maybe more.
Well, I've been in this place for 20 years, and I've had studios in previous houses that I've lived in, and I've done most of my stuff here, to be honest, all my solo work, all my guitars for the UFO records, and I kind of like being in my own environment, when I work and no distractions. And I like to really focus and, kind of limit any distractions around me. So I'm more comfortable here in my little cave. And I don't do drums here. I usually do drums in like a real studio, as you might say. And I've done bass here, keyboards, guitars, and a lot of times today with everybody has a home recording set up with digital audio workstations, and people just trade files through the internet. Send me bass files, drum files, whatever.
Well, I want to go back now to your beginnings, like how I was reading Wikipedia. I don't know, I bet it's true, but it says that you started when you were like 12 and you saw a guitar in a JC Penney catalog or something like that. Is that's true?
Yeah, that's true. My first lesson was when I was 13. I still remember the date, February 10th,
Wow.
19 blah blah blah, whatever. I don't even want to say. But yeah, I was like, I always liked rock music, and there was a Christmas where my mom was saying, "Hey, what would you like for Christmas?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I'm not really sure." So she gave me the J.C. Penney catalog and said, "Can you go through this and find something maybe that you like?" And I happened to see this guitar with a little amp, and I went, "Hey, I want to play guitar." It was kind of a sudden thing. I did it on a whim, and yeah, that was my first guitar,
Which
and
one it was? Do you remember the brand? Do you remember by chance what was?
it was called a Tysco, and the little amp was called a K-A-Y-E, I believe, or maybe K-A-Y, I can't remember.
Yeah.
A little transistor amp, and that was pretty much the start of it.
Wow. And then you start to get lessons locally. I think that's what it says in Wikipedia. Like you start to get local lessons with a teacher, and then you get kind of advanced, right? And you move.
Right. I first teacher I studied with her for the first year, and man, the first lesson was a nightmare. I couldn't. She was getting frustrated with me because I couldn't even hold the guitar. It was falling off to my
Oh,
left leg. I couldn't hold it up, and I remember her saying, "I don't know, if this is going to work. Maybe go home and work a little bit, and I'll see you next week, and we'll kind of make a decision on what I think you should do, blah, 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 whatever." And I left and I was really frustrated. And I remember being in the car on the way home saying, "I don't want to do this. I want to play drums." Excuse me. And, I got home, I opened the songbook, I started playing, practicing, the lesson, which was reading like an E on the high E string, an F and a G, and, little silly songs with those three notes. And I just started working at it and I got decent at it. And I went back in a week later for my second lesson, and the teachers couldn't believe, that I had progressed that much. It went from so bad to being okay. And from that point on, I just continued with my weekly lessons and just loved playing, and I was into bands like the Beatles, Queen, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. So, I just became excited about it and really loved it. And, it started from there.
wow. How many hours do you remember? And I want to say also, I want to ask you between when you're, I don't know, you were a teenager, right? Till now that you're, well, not now, but you became professional very early age. But you get more responsibilities and more less time, let's put it that way, when you got older, right? How many hours you practice back then compared to like now or like in your, I don't know, like 10 years ago, whatever. You know what I mean? When you get older, you, I guess, has less time. That's what my question goes.
Well, in the beginning, the first year, it wasn't that serious. It was just like whenever I didn't really have a regimen, whenever I could have a guitar in my hand and play, and, didn't think much about it. After a year, I got a second teacher who was a really good player. He was a rocker that was also into jazz. In fact, he was taking lessons from Pat Martino, who was up in Philadelphia. And somewhere during that next year, I got more serious and I started practicing like maybe 2 hours a day. I was still in school and high school, so maybe like 2 hours a day. But then through high school, I got more and more serious. I upped it to like 4 hours a day. In fact, I would get up an hour early in the morning before school just so I could get an hour of practice in. And I'm not a morning guy at all, man. I wake up grumpy and I hate the morning. It takes me a while to get going, but I was so excited that I wanted to get up early just so I could play guitar for an hour. Then I'd come home from school and I'd immediately pick up the guitar and practice for a couple hours and go to band practice and rehearse with the band I was in. And so that continued for a while, maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. And then there was a next level, a couple of years after that, it got to be at least 7 or 8 hours a day. And there were times where I played 12 hours a day,
Wow.
which was really crazy. I had no social life, everything was guitar, guitar, guitar. And, I was just obsessed by it. I loved doing it. I was passionate and, pretty much obsessed with playing and listening to music and playing music.
Wow. It paid off pretty well, man.
Oh, thanks. Nowadays I have no regimen. I just kind of get in the studio and I write. I'm not sitting around like practicing scales or, whatever exercises or those kinds of things that I've done in the past. Now it's just writing, or if I'm not writing, I pick up the guitar and just kind of start noodling around, improvising. And often that leads to like a new idea or a new song. So yeah, there's nothing formal anymore. It just
Mm.
go with the flow.
That's a good point that you're saying that when I talk to more guitar players and even me, I'm a little bit younger than you. I'm 40. That I don't know, the older that you get, like it's more about the creation, I guess, the composition, the melody, you know what I mean? More than like honestly, right now I'm have some tours coming up. So I force myself to practice because I have to, you know what I mean, to go over there and people don't like
Right.
which I mean like, wow, you suck. No, like I have to practice this stuff. But if it wasn't because of that, I think that I don't feel the same passion than 25 years ago that I'm sitting and practicing all the exercises like I feel.
Right. You've been through that part of it and you've accomplished, technique and whatever, and then you get to the point where okay, now I just want to create something and make music.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
not
trying
like
to be the
you, not like technique like you. I'm an average. I mean, I play, but not like I can be dangerous in some stuff, but not like did say like your level. Because a guy like you is like us mortals, right? That we play guitar, we practice, and all that is we're here, and then you above. It's like you guys, Vinnie Moore, Paul Gilbert, like all these Sean Lane, whatever. Like it's like these, special guitar players for me that are like here. But yeah, it's more
But you
about.
get to a certain point where your technique is, sufficient to take that and just make music. And
Mhm.
I'm not trying to be the fastest player. I'm not trying to be the most technical. I'm just trying to create melodies, play with feel and make music and
Yeah.
and I still love it.
Oh, great. Now, okay. Now we have these. You got lessons. You got the technique. You're. I guess you're playing in local places, but now it's the next level, and we're talking about like your solo album, Vicious Rumors, the band, like how all that happened.
Well, I guess it happened in a little bit of a strange kind of way. Of course, Mike Varney had the column in Guitar Player magazine called Spotlight for New Talent, and I wanted to send a tape in to him, you know, and I just started writing. I got my first 4-track recorder, which was really, really important in my development as far as putting ideas together and writing songs. And I would just come up with chord progressions at that point, create melodies over top and solos. And I eventually got a tape good enough, that I felt good enough about to send to him. Luckily, he liked it and included me in his column and Guitar Player, which was like a very, very cool thing for me. And ironically, there was a production company in Los Angeles. They were casting for a Pepsi commercial, TV
I was
commercial,
going to
and
ask that.
they were having trouble finding someone to do it. And they just went to a music store and bought a few guitar magazines that were on the stands. And that happened to be the issue that I was in. And they saw me and they read the write up that Mike gave me, which was really good. And I guess maybe they liked the look in the picture, you know, thought I might fit in. So they called me. I was definitely interested. And this was an evening, about 6 in the evening. I got the call, and I was on a plane to LA the next morning, actually. And I had never even been on a plane before. I think I was like 19,
Oh,
maybe.
wow.
And I went out and I auditioned, and they really liked what I did. At first, I was going to be in the commercial visually, but that didn't quite work out. But they liked what I played, so they ended up using my guitar licks with an actor.
Okay. So they put an actor. So the hands right there is not you, is an actor.
Actually, he wasn't an actor. He acted in the commercial, but it was Derry Graham from the band Honeymoon Suite from Canada.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I did film close-up hand shots. When you see the real close-up stuff, that's my hands doing the fingerings and
Yeah.
stuff. But the far out shots are him.
Okay, they're far, but the ones that the close-ups is you because I'm like, wow, the guy really, if he was an actor, wow, he really, it's really good. Because one thing is like when you're, let's say, far away and you can do whatever, but if I close up, like you really need to like, make it seem that is whatever you're playing. That is right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I bet 90% of the world didn't notice whatever, but a guitar player will see it and it's just like, that's fake. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So they
Yeah.
wanted some legitimacy. So they used my, I often say my hands were famous.
Wow. And then you start to play with the band, right? After that, with Vicious Rummers, I think so. After that, or
Yes, they were on Mike Varney's label, Shrapnel Records, and they were looking for a guitar player. And Mike wanted to do something with me, so he kind of got the idea that he could, you know, put us together, and that's what happened. So I went out to California for about 4 months and slept on the floor, and but it didn't even matter. I just wanted to do it so badly, record, and that turned into the first Vicious Rumors record, Soldiers of the Night. That was a really good experience. And after that, I began to talk to Mike about doing an instrumental record, and that became Mind's Eye.
great album, by the way. Like,
Thank,
great,
thank
great
you so much.
album. So I think, yeah, one of the it's just like in that time we used to exchange cassettes, like 90s. I'm a 90s kid, we used to exchange cassettes with all these because from South America, I was in Bogota, Colombia, in South America. It was very difficult to get your guys' albums. Like it was
Oh,
very
wow.
difficult. Yeah, it was very difficult. So people, let's say that like we have a friend, he was kind of like the rich kid, in the community, and
Uh huh.
he used to go to United States, so he got all these CDs and all these cassettes, and we're like, wow, man. So we go to his house and he just mixtape stuff, and one of your albums were yours, and wow, it was like mind blowing again. For new people that are listening to this, was no YouTube, it was not internet yet.
Right. It was all friends sharing stuff. In fact, I had two guys that were really into rock and guitar music. Like up the street, I had a friend who was really into Santana and Al Di Meola. So he had those records. And another friend, one street over, he was the Hendrix Robin Trower guy. So he had all those records. And then I had like everything from, Blackmore with Deep
Right.
Purple, Rainbow, uh, Larry Carlton, even, and Van Halen, all that stuff. So between us, we just used to loan one another albums.
So about the band, do you like quit for some reason if you want to talk about it, or just like want to do your solo thing and we're more like, oh, I want to do my solo stuff and I don't want to be part of a band?
Well, what it was that the band started to kind of gravitate and grow in a different direction
Hmm.
than what I personally wanted to do. So even while I was out there before we recorded the record, we started to kind of split in what we wanted to do. They wanted to head into a heavier and heavier direction. They were getting the thrash stuff that was really just starting at that point. And I was more of a hard rock guy, and it just two different visions, and they were going one way and I just wasn't going that way. Their
Yeah.
initial demos that they sent to me were more in line with where I wanted to be stylistically, but as they changed, I didn't change with them, and that kind of thing happens pretty often. Actually, it wasn't that I wanted to leave to do a solo record. I actually wanted to form a band at first, and that ended up turning into doing an instrumental record, which was Mind's Eye, and it just sort of happened that way. And plus, I was like really young. I was like 20 years old maybe, and I was away from home for 4 months, and I was getting homesick, and I just wanted to like do the record and go home, and then kind of reassess what I wanted to do.
Do you remember that experience for that album? I really want some backstory about that, like which gear you use, where do you record it, like how was that?
It was pretty awesome. It was 1985, and we recorded the record at Prairie Sun Studios in Cotati, California. And yeah, I mean, I did the guitars really, really quickly, probably too quickly because I wasn't happy with my playing on some of the stuff. I wish I had a little more time, but you know,
Yeah.
that's pretty much how it happens in the beginning. There's not a big budget, and you got to get in there and just knock it out quickly.
Mhm. Do you remember the guitar maybe that you had on the amps that you have back then, or
The guitar was my Kramer Pacer.
okay?
That was like the cool thing back then because it came with a Floyd Rose, because in the
Mm.
beginning, the Floyd Rose came out and everybody was like hacking up their guitars to install a Floyd Rose. And I tried that also too. It's not easy to do. And it was just like a no brainer. Like Kramer came out with the Floyd Rose already on it. So everybody started playing those, you know, to have the Floyd Rose basically. And yeah, amp wise, I didn't bring an amp out to California for that. Um, Man, I actually don't even remember what I used. I borrowed a Marshall, I think, from a friend of mine who lived out there, and yeah, maybe I used that, or maybe oh, I remember for the rhythms, Mesa Boogie was out there,
Mm,
and they loaned us some amps, and I know for rhythms I used the Mesa Boogie,
okay.
and for the leads, I know I used a Boss DS1 overdrive, and it might have been through the Boogie. Whatever it was a clean sound on the amp, dialed into a clean sound with the DS1 for the overdrive.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's again, it's one of the greatest album instrumental wise for me. It's a reference, like for everyone that is into this kind of music. It sounds great. So then from
Thank
there,
you.
you're welcome, Vinny. From there you go back home. You said that you need to reassess. So what happened then? You go back home and another instrumental album, right? Because I mean, you did another one. Well, you did multiple, but
After Mind's Eye,
yeah.
yeah, after doing Mind's Eye, that guitar was the Ibanez. That's when I started working with Ibanez, and I
Mhm.
borrowed my friend's Marshall, and I borrowed Tony McAlpine's PV Classic amp, and I think I used those two on the Mind's Eye record. And in those days, it was just get one sound and just make the record. Not enough time to experiment with different amps and different sounds for different songs. It was pretty much like one sound for the whole record type of deal. So after I got home from that, as I told you, I originally wanted to put a band together and do a band record, and I didn't really want to do an instrumental record at first, but it just sort of happened that way. It's like, I don't have the singer at that point, and I guess it would be the easiest way to just make an instrumental record because I grew up into guys like Jeff Beck, Larry Carlton, Al Di Meola, and I had a couple instrumental songs written already, and I thought, okay, I could just write like a handful more and just make a record and get that out there, and then I'll put the band together. But then what happened is that record did really well. It created a lot of buzz and attention for me. So then after that, it's almost like I had to do another instrumental record because the Mind's Eye was like
Mhm.
fairly successful, and I had to follow it up.
And then how many albums you had before as a solo before getting into UFO? Like how long was that?
Okay, I joined UFO in 2003, and I had Mind's Eye, Time Odyssey, Meltdown, Out of Nowhere, The Maze, Defying Gravity, and a live record. So seven. And yeah, then I joined UFO.
Well, that's man, that's a successful career for me, to be honest. Like, to make a living as a guitar player, be able to record your own albums. I mean, that's very impressive, man. Very impressive. Like
Man,
build,
I still thank God every day. I'm so fortunate to be able to do what I love doing.
yeah. Then what happened with UFO? Like, how you got picked for to play with them?
Oh, I think initially they were trying to find a guitar player from England because they were based in
Yeah,
England
British.
and they
Hmm.
weren't really finding anybody. So then they kind of expanded their search to Europe because that was still fairly close by for them. And they weren't really finding anybody. And their manager was a guy named Peter Knorr. And before managing UFO, he managed Michael Schenker. And I did a tour opening for Michael Schenker in America. We did 32 shows together,
Okay.
and Peter
Solo,
being
as a solo player.
yeah, with
Oh wow.
my solo stuff. And so Peter being the manager came out for some of the shows, on that tour to be with Michael, and I met him, and so I knew him pretty well. And then he started managing UFO, and he suggested me, because he knew me and had heard my playing. And so, I got a call one day from my managers telling me that they were looking for a guitar player and they wanted to hear some of my stuff. So I made a CD of like 11 songs of mine from different records, different things. And I didn't really think much about it. Uh, you know, I thought it was a long shot, but about 2 weeks later, I got a call saying Phil, liked the music and would like you to do it, to join the band.
And the rest is history. How many years? Like 20 years, I think. 20,
Yeah, pretty much 20. Yep.
20 years. Like the breakup. I mean,
Yeah.
well,
The big retirement.
big retirement. I hope not. I hope in 3 years, like they come back from the retirement, maybe.
I guess you can never say never. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but Phil was, getting older, and for at least a few years, he was like considering not doing it anymore. So then we did the final tour, the farewell tour,
Hmm.
and we're in the coming to the end of that. And then he had some health issues, and we had to cancel like the very last leg of the tour.
Well, I guess people don't understand the touring. I think that they see the picture of the stage and the rock and roll part, but they don't see the traveling, like all that kind of stuff that is a lot in your body, I
Yeah,
think.
it's pretty grueling, no matter what standards you're traveling by. I mean, like if you're a bigger band, it's a little easier, with
Mhm.
the tour buses and the hotels, a little bit easier of a schedule, but it doesn't matter, it's still grueling, A lot of interrupted sleep, sleeping in bits and not quite sleeping like you normally would at home. And
Waking up early.
yeah, I mean, I love doing it, and everybody's willing to make that sacrifice, but I guess at a certain point in your life, you might think, I don't know if I'm up for doing this anymore.
Do you still like it? Do you still like touring? You want to do another tour or
Oh yeah, I still love it, and working on things for next year, and definitely love it. I've done van tours, I've done bus tours, and the
okay.
bus tours are a lot easier. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
you know, just getting out there and doing shows in front of people is, it's
Mm.
definitely a high that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad because I want to see you for sure. One day if I'm in the States, of course, or whatever you're going to, and I hope I'm at home so I can drive to whatever state you're gonna play. I hope that can make I can make it happen.
Thank you. Hopefully, Florida.
Yeah, hopefully Florida, no, or Atlanta, or I don't know. Sometimes they go more to Atlanta and Texas and that kind of stuff.
Right. I
Going
noticed with
on there.
UFO, we didn't get down to Florida a whole lot, and I'm not sure why, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I don't want to get into demographics, but I guess is more movement I think than Atlanta and in Texas. Texas for sure. Like everyone goes to Texas usually. Like
hmm San
small
Antonio,
bands.
Dallas, Austin,
Yeah,
Houston.
yeah, yes, usually there. Of course, California and all that, but Texas, I think always that I see the shows in Texas, they're kind of big. It's kind of like a good crowd. It's like a lot going on rock wise there. It's like really
Yeah,
good.
it's a great state to play in for sure.
Yeah, it's like a very different because I seen that you play in South America, Latin America, etc. And very different when you play in the States than in Latin America. Some states are like, bigger venues, like more people goes, and other ones are more smaller. In Latin America, I think it's usually bigger for some reason sometimes. Brazil or Argentina, I don't know. Sometimes it's very different.
Yeah,
But
they're really passionate down there, man. There's a lot of fans, and it's always great to play
yeah.
there and other countries too.
Yeah, I'm doing it's called Guitar Universe. It's the second edition next year. I did this year with Kiko Loureiro from Megadeth. Like he doesn't play
Hmm.
Megadeth anymore, but we did with him, and then we toured South America. I mean Latin America with him and Marty Friedman. And next year I'm doing it with just one date with Michelangelo Batio,
Hmm.
and 2027 with Vinnie Moore. There you go, because
All right, it sounds
really.
good to me.
Yeah, he's still liking touring. That's what my question was. I was like, because some people are like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to travel. I don't want to, you know. But man, yeah, after this we can exchange contacts, and it will be great. It will be great to have you there. I'm planning something with multiple, if I can, of course, budget wise, with multiple guitar players. That's like my next step. Like we did one, two. I mean, one at a time. If I can do two or three, something like that, will be amazing. But we just keep in contact. But
Man,
anyways,
I would love to. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But we're not done with the interview. I'm just um now Alice Cooper. I want to touch Alice Cooper subject right here. So you play with Alice Cooper, and I hear different versions of that. You tour with Alice Cooper and you play in the Poison song, right? Like you were the guitar player, or I'm mistaken that?
No, Poison was the record before I joined. I
Okay.
played on Hey Stupid, and the songs were Hurricane Years and Dirty Dreams.
Okay.
And initially, it was just like Alice was having guests on his record, guest guitar players. He had Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
Hmm.
Slash, Mick Mars. So I was asked to be on a couple songs, which of course was really exciting and very happy that they asked me to do that. And so it started out that way. I was just going to be a guest on the record. I went up to a studio in Bearsville, New York, and knocked out those two songs in one day and went home. And, that was pretty much it. And then maybe 2, 3 months later, I got a call asking if I'd be into joining the band for the Operation Rock and Roll tour. And that's how the touring came about.
I was just that tour, or you tour more years with him, or was just that?
No, it was just the American leg of the tour. Um, Initially, what happened was initially Alice was going to do this Operation Rock and Roll tour, which was Judas Priest, Dangerous Toys, Metal Church, and Motorhead. There were 5 bands. It
Wow.
was the summer, and we were playing outdoor sheds. And then he was going to go back and tour America again solo, as a solo artist. And that
Hmm.
I had a record coming out, which was the Meltdown record, and that sounded like the perfect plan, to be out touring in America, have my record come out. And somewhere in the middle of the USA tour, they kind of switched gears and decided they were going to go to Europe instead of doing America again. And my record label at the time, and my record wasn't out yet, and they were saying, well, if you're going to leave the country for 6 months, it doesn't really make sense to put your record out when you're not even going to be here. So I had this like difficult choice of like, do I go to Europe and be in Alice's band, or do I just let my album sit around for a year? And I had finished the record in January, and it was already being released in October. So that was already many months. And that in itself was kind of killing me because I wanted it to come out. So delaying it another year, I don't know. I just didn't want to do that. And I made a choice to, just not go over to Europe with Alice and do it my own tour in America with the record coming out. And I ended up doing a little tour with opening for Rush. So, that was a very exciting thing.
Wow, that was great. I didn't know that. So as a solo player, you open it for Rush in a
Yeah.
wow,
And it's
man.
funny because the first two shows were at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, which was my, the concert venue I went to as a kid. I saw many, many bands there. And when you're a kid, like the dream is, oh, I want to play the Spectrum someday, the local hockey arena. And I got to play there with Alice once, which was a dream come true. Excuse me. And then for the Rush tour, the very first two shows were there in Philadelphia.
That was total instrumental, like total your staff instrumental.
Yeah, it was during the Meltdown tour. The Meltdown record had come out, and I had Brian Tishy on drums and John DeServio from Black Label Society on bass. And we were out for like at least 6 months on that tour, and the Rush leg was, part of it.
Man, sounds such a good concert. You and Rush, that sounds like a plan.
It was pretty awesome. It was a highlight opening for those guys and getting to watch them play every night was
Wow.
definitely very cool.
Where was the last tour that you did as a solo player?
Oh, well, I guess it would have been last year in
Okay.
Europe. I did some shows in Spain and other countries in Europe,
Okay.
Germany, Austria.
Nice. And
Even went up to, excuse me?
maybe next year you're gonna
Yeah, next year.
do United States. You're gonna tour the United.
Yeah, hopefully that's gonna happen too. Just I want to tour everywhere I can.
Wow. Awesome. Let us know, man, that
Oh,
to
I definitely will. Definitely will.
yeah, that would be great. I hope I mean, I have some scheduling going on for 2026, but if I'm at home, I hope I can go and see you. That will be great. I have a question from the fans from the Shred Music TV. They're asking, how was the process um to picking up like the songs between you and Barney on your first album? How who choose the like how was the process of that of like I don't know you have I don't know 30 songs or you just have those songs and that's what I have, that's it, you know what I mean?
Right. It wasn't very hard because there were only 9 songs. So there was no choosing. It was just like, okay, you got 9 songs, that's enough. Let's go.
Okay.
As opposed to nowadays where I usually have more and, just choose, what songs go together best to make a record. But yeah, for that, you know, what I had was what ended up on the record.
All right, what do you think about if you want to talk about AI or like this new stuff that is like coming up? It's just a little bit crazy for me.
Yeah, it's actually kind of scary,
Mhm.
I probably just need a AI to write a song. You don't have to do anything but push some buttons, and anybody's going to be able to do it, I guess, to a certain extent. I don't know how good it would be, but I guess it's good as a tool, if you want to use it for certain things. But it could get out of hand, and I'm afraid that it will go in that direction.
Yeah, a little bit of that subject is not AI, but like what about like fractal and these pedals like line 6 quad cortex, like all this digital evolution that for me as a personal opinion, and is me, I love the amps that you have. I never will change an amp over these pedal boards, but my lower back really appreciates when I go to the
I hear
gigs
you.
and I have the pedal and just put the pedal and that's it because you know what I mean. It's very
It seems like everybody's using those for convenience,
yeah.
at a show. You don't have to set up an amp and mic it, carry everything in. So I can kind of see that mentality, but I'm an amp guy. I'll always record with real amps and a mic. I've used different things in the past for recording to get
Mhm.
certain sounds, usually because of the effects patches more than the actual guitar sound itself, as far as the overdrive or whatever. Uh, I have an old Digitech 2101 that I still pull out occasionally for a certain part, just for it does what it does and it's something different. And on the Maze record, to be honest, I had a dual setup. I mic'd a Marshall amp, and at the same time, I went into this 2101 and went direct with that. And then I would kind of blend the sounds. Like the 2101 kind of added something in a frequency range that the amp didn't have, and vice versa. So I kind of used them in conjunction with one another to create a certain sound. But yeah, I've always used an amp.
Okay, so next tour is gonna be an amp. So we're gonna, if I see you, it's gonna be full amp regardless. Great.
Yeah.
That's the
I
tone
mean, I don't
cover.
even care if it's a small amp, with two
Okay.
by 12s or whatever. That's best for me.
And usually what kind of pick are you using right now? Like guitar pick wise, what kind of pick you use?
I just your standard shape and mediums or heavies. Back in the early days, I always used a Fender Extra Heavy,
Okay.
and then I kind of went down to a heavy for a long time, and then I used a medium for years, and now I'm kind of hovering between the medium and the heavy, and it's just like your standard shape guitar pick, nothing special. And yes, what I've gotten used to over the years.
What about guitar strings? Did you change guitar strings for tour? Like I remember I saw Paul Gilbert saying that he goes sometimes to point 0.8 because it was too much, like, playing fast for a year, whatever. Um, do you,
I usually use a 9 set,
okay.
and when I was with UFO, we tuned down a half step for live shows. So I found that tens worked better, with the drop down a half step tuning. So, excuse me, coughing today.
Uh,
But yeah, mostly it's nines in standard tuning.
9 standard tuning, okay. And you're using right now, what kind of guitar are you using right now?
I'm still using a bunch of different things in the studio. I have an old Fender Strat like guitar, a couple Strats. I have my old Deans. I have Kramers. I have a Charvel, and I have SG, an
Okay,
Epiphone SG.
which one is the one that you're going to pick for the tour for 2026? Like, okay,
Oh
Vinny,
man,
right now, take two.
it's hard to say. When I get to that point, I would, have to look at the set list, and yeah, I don't know at this moment.
Can you give us like a sneak peek of what are you gonna play if you tour? Like, what is gonna be like the set list kind of?
I try to do something from all the records, at least two songs from each record. That way I cover all the time periods, and hopefully that's what the fans want to see, a little bit from each record. I know when I went out and did the Meltdown tour, it was mostly Meltdown songs because that was the new record. I did some of the old stuff like In Control and Daydream. Uh, but yeah, I mix it up more nowadays and try to, you know, cover the span of all the records.
Awesome. Vinny, what do you recommend to new generations? Like, if they want to start playing guitar, they want to be musicians, what it's your advice?
My advice is like do it because you love doing it and you're passionate about playing and music, and just have fun with it, and commit yourself, and yeah, just to have fun and learn as much as you can from as many people you can. When I was a kid, I was learning solos and songs from a bunch of different players, not just a couple. I'd try to learn Van Halen, I'd try to learn Al Di Meola, uh, Robin Trower, Santana, just like take in. There's so many different styles out there, and I would just say immerse yourself in all the different styles and players and learn as much as you can.
You said something, well, you reference a guitar player that barely people sometimes talks about him, and it's Santana, which I'm
Oh,
surprised. And that kind of makes sense of your melodic approach, because what I like, and we will like usually from you, because we have all the 80s shred, we have all these people that um play super fast, and we have the neoclassical, like wave, right? Which is great, all these arpeggios, whatever you want to call it. sweet picking techniques, whatever. But then we
Hmm.
have that fusion of that plus a lot of melodic um, stuff. And I think you have that power, I guess, that comes from all these guys that you're mentioning. That is a lot of like good guitar players, but like they're really good songwriters, like really good songwriters, really good in the melodies and all that. So that kind of makes sense on your mix of playing plus composing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge Santana fan when I was a kid. One of my friends had the Abraxas record, and I heard the song Samba Pati,
Yeah,
the
so
little
yeah.
ballad, instrumental ballad, and I just fell in love with that. And I thought, wow, this guy is really special. And so I became a big fan. I had the Moonflower record. I was really into that, and I saw him every time he came to Philadelphia. I would go see him play. In fact, he Al Di Meola opened up for him once, so I got to see both those guys in one night, which was pretty amazing. So yeah, I mean, he just has a lyrical sense, a lot of feel, and I picked up on that. It was a big influence. In fact, on the Soul Shifter record, I did a tribute song to him called Brother Carlos, and it was just me playing in the style or what I thought was the style of Carlos, a real melodic, soulful tune, and really like doing that. And yeah, I mean, I've always been a sucker for a melody. There's got to be a melody, not just a bunch of fast shredding all over the place. There's got to be something in there that captures your attention. And I think this was with me even early on, like on the first record. It wasn't just shred everywhere. There was even like a daydream, do 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 do. Something you could sing and that's memorable. That you would hear the song once and kind of remember that little hook. And for me, it's always been more about that. And of course, I'm into the shredding stuff too, and that is a cool thing in its own right. But it can't only be about that for me anyway. It's got to be like the feeling is the most important.
Yeah, like the connection, I guess. It doesn't matter that it's
Yeah,
instrumental, it's that connection. It's like I always give the
expressing
example.
yourself.
Yes, they like when you're watching a movie, right? And it's this, I don't know, scene of comedy or horror or whatever, and the music sounds whatever, and you connect. There's no words. It's just the music. You're
Exactly.
feeling.
Yeah, it has sets the tone and the mood.
And that's something that you really got it. Um, my last question for you before you go is, what do you think about Instagram and YouTube and like all the social media scrolling and all this that is going on right now with guitar players on the internet?
I think it's a great tool, a way to get your message out there. I wish it was around like early in my career. So people nowadays just coming up are lucky to have that and get their music out there that people can hear them and listen to what they're doing. I need to get better at posting stuff. I'm a little lazy with it because I don't find it natural, to post videos of me playing and post about what I ate for breakfast. And I almost feel like a narcissist, posting about me every day. And that's kind of a little hard for me. But
Man,
I know people,
you totally said it. Yeah, I force myself, and it's so difficult for me. It's something that I struggle so much, and everyone is like, no, but just like, do like this guy. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just a musician. I don't like that. I don't like that attention. But at the same time, on my career, like, if I need a better gig and I need, some band or something that is gonna see me, I have to have that, it's just yeah, you're right. It's like a narcissist thing of like I'm trying to be funny sometimes. I can't, it's so difficult.
yeah, I mean, if I have a new record or a new article in a magazine, something like that, of course I always post about it. But it's hard for me to post about like the day-to-day things that probably nobody cares about. I mean, I know I've seen some prolific posters and I read their messages like they're a bit long and I'll read a couple sentences like, man, I don't really care about this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Vinny, thank you so much for your time. Uh,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
for real, thank you so much. I hope we can keep in contact for 2027 uh
Uh-huh. I can
festival.
send you my info
Yeah,
on maybe Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, or I have your email right there. I will email you
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
by the
email me.
way, yeah, I will email you that for sure after this, so I don't forget. And yeah, or maybe next year. Who knows, man? Maybe something next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Vinny, thank you
So
so much.
you're what cruise are you on?
Oh well, I'm right now I'm in Europe in Italy. It's called Norwegian Cruise Line, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I play in so we have this show in eight different ships, and it's called Sid Normans, and it's a dive bar, right? It's like a diver. It's a diver, and but he's supposedly from these guys in Normans that, well, I hope people from the cruise line don't watch this, but if they do, it's a fictional character. He doesn't exist. So we have
Hmm.
pictures of the guy everywhere with, with the people from Fleetwood Mac, John Lennon, whatever. And it's this story of this manager that he discovered all these people, and he was the one that like wrote all these songs, and it's a rock show, a production rock show that does that. So that's what I do. And we play also a Fleetwood Mac tribute with a script that tells this story. So that's what I do on the ships.
Oh,
And
that sounds really interesting. It's funny, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine last week about tribute bands and how well they do. And I came up with the idea maybe I should do a Vinnie Moore tribute. Like I cut my hair, I grow a beard, and I disguise myself, and I go out and I probably sell more tickets doing a tribute than if I was like really me.
yeah,
Just a funny idea. And people would be watching, going, "Oh, this guy can't play as good as Vinny. He sucks."
oh man, I think yeah, you might be right. Yeah, it's just like right now. It's like that's how people make more a living, more in my generation. Doing tributes, doing this kind of shows, and the show that we do is covers. It's a cover band actually, but we have four
Hmm.
singers and a four-piece band: guitar, bass, drums, and bass player. And they tell the stories of this guy with jokes and stuff, and we play a lot of 70s and 80s hits. You will know all the set lists, man. If I give you the set list, I'm pretty sure that you can replace me tonight. Pretty sure that I'm like, Vinny, this is, and you're like, oh, I know all of them. It's really American hits from the 70s and 80s, like
Right, and people like seeing
but
songs they're familiar with, so it sounds like a good thing.
yeah, and the demographic is like 50, 60. Right now it's getting a little bit younger, 40, but it's still like, Jesse's Girl, some Kansas. We play Only Jump from Van Halen. I wish we played something
Hmm.
else. I think we're playing
I
Panama.
love Kansas.
Yeah, we start with Carry On My Wayward Son. That's the first song of the show. So lights off and boom, start with the four singers doing the harmonies. It's a really like badass in your face opening. And then yeah, we play that kind of stuff. So it's a cool experience. If you go one day to a cruise and you see that show, it's cool. It's really nice. 45 minutes. Uh
Hmm.
it's a 45-minute production show. It's just like this is what it is, and yeah, pretty nice.
Oh, I'd like to see it someday. That would be awesome.
Yeah, one day, man. We'll keep in touch. I'll give you a family and friends discount for sure. I can actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
of
Vinny.
course.
Yeah, all right, man.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you so much. Thank
And
you.
hey, I want to say thank you to Shred Music TV for always supporting me and posting videos and whatever. I appreciate it.
No, you're more than welcome. I'm gonna tell them to post more, of course. And no, I mean, again, you're a reference for everyone that plays in this genre, and your name. I think you're that kind of guy of the 80s that is immortal in this an institution like Paul Gilbert, Vinnie Moore. It's a reference. Like you talk, if you give me 10, you're right there. You're in this top 10 of
Oh
that.
man,
Sure,
that
man.
means a lot. Thanks.
Top five. No, not even top 10, top five.
Top 100 is okay.
Okay, Vinny, thank you so much for being today with us.
Okay, thank you. Have a
Have a
good
good one.
day.
You too.
All right.